Welcome to AI Dispatch, your channel for the latest AI videos on YouTube. If you don't want to miss these updates, please like, subscribe, and share. Today's video comes from Lenny's podcast. Joining us is Lazar Yavanovich, a professional vibe coder. He presents a thesis that technical ignorance has become a competitive asset in software development, while traditional coding transforms into a niche craft comparable to calligraphy. His framework suggests the future belongs not to syntax mastery, but to directing AI through clear intention. We'll examine how this perspective reshapes the hierarchy of software creation. Lazar Yavanovich makes a claim that directly contradicts decades of hiring doctrine in software engineering. Possessing absolutely zero technical background is no longer a disadvantage. It has become a powerful competitive edge. The conventional assumption holds that building complex applications, such as Chrome extensions or enterprise data systems, requires formal training in computer science. Lazar, operating under the title of professional vibe coder, reverses this entirely. His reasoning centers on cognitive constraints. Engineers carry accumulated knowledge of technical limitations. They understand which APIs lack certain features, which architectures cannot support specific functions, and which requests fall outside feasible scope. When confronted with an unconventional feature request, their expertise tells them it cannot be done. Lazar operates without these constraints. Lacking formal training, he simply instructs the AI to implement features that trained engineers would immediately classify as impossible. The surprising outcome: the AI frequently discovers implementation paths that circumvent traditional limitations. This suggests that engineering expertise, while valuable for understanding systems, may inadvertently function as a filter that prevents exploration of unconventional solutions. We are rejecting possibilities before the model even attempts execution. This observation drives his central analogy. Manual coding is transitioning into calligraphy. The prevailing narrative assumes AI will amplify coding abilities, transforming every developer into a supercoder. Lazar's projection moves in the opposite direction. He anticipates that writing code manually will become a specialized craft practiced by enthusiasts for aesthetic or historical purposes, mirroring how calligraphy persists despite the dominance of digital typography. The functional necessity of typing syntax is disappearing. He envisions convergence of three distinct roles: engineer, product manager, and designer into a unified position. The act of writing code becomes obsolete. The act of guiding outcomes through intention becomes the profession. Examining his actual workflow reveals a fundamental departure from standard software development practices. Lazar does not review generated code. He does not examine syntax. He places complete confidence in the large language model's output. This approach violates the trust but verify principle that governs traditional engineering. His justification focuses on identifying the actual bottleneck, which he terms the genie problem. He references the Aladdin narrative. When you ask the genie to make you taller, the genie might grant 13 feet of height. The wish is technically fulfilled, but the result is unusable. You cannot enter buildings or vehicles. The failure originates not from the magic itself, but from the imprecision of the request. Lazar argues that most AI failures stem from treating the model like a search engine rather than an entity requiring hyper-specific context. The critical skill is not debugging software. It is debugging ambiguity in your own instructions. When an application malfunctions, he does not inspect the code. Instead, he analyzes how his prompt could have been more precise to prevent the issue. He optimizes the request, not the program. This philosophy extends into a resource allocation strategy that inverts conventional project management logic. Standard practice dictates starting with a single prototype and iterating to conserve resources. Lazar recommends the opposite: expend significant resources immediately to reduce costs later. When initiating a task, he does not open one chat session. He launches 4 to 6 parallel projects simultaneously. He provides different inputs to each voice recordings, typed prompts, design screenshots, and code snippets, allowing the AI to generate 6 distinct versions of the application concurrently. This approach appears costly in terms of API usage and computational resources. However, his reasoning rests on context window economics. He contends that attempting to repair a flawed initial build consumes more tokens and time than generating multiple attempts up front and selecting the optimal result immediately. It is more efficient to invest tokens in parallel exploration than to spend human hours correcting a fundamentally flawed trajectory. This treats software creation as natural selection: generate multiple variants, identify the superior option, and discard the rest. Regarding workplace hierarchy, his predictions create tension with the current valuation of technical expertise. Silicon Valley consensus positions the 10x engineer as the highest value contributor. Lazar forecasts complete inversion of this hierarchy. He predicts that product managers and designers will occupy the top tier. The rationale, the how, the implementation code is becoming commoditized. The what, the decision of which product to build, and the feel, the emotional resonance of the design represent the new scarcities. He acknowledges that elite engineers will not disappear, but their function will shift from creators to infrastructure maintainers. They will manage servers and maintain APIs, enabling millions of vibe coders to build actual products. This represents a significant status reversal for the software industry. The engineer transitions from architect of the future to infrastructure operator, while the ideas person historically dismissed in tech culture becomes the architect. This leads to his specific method for managing AI agents, which contradicts the move fast and break things culture. One might assume vibe coding involves casual conversation with a chatbot. Lazar reveals that effective execution requires rigorous bureaucracy. He allocates 80% of his time to planning and only 20% to execution. Before any code generation occurs, he requires the AI to produce a master plan, an implementation plan, design guidelines, and a tasks.md file. Here lies the engineering heresy. He treats text files as the source of truth, not the code. He feeds these markdown files back to the AI to maintain context continuity. He recognized that the AI's performance is limited not by the model's capabilities, but by what information it receives before acting. By requiring the AI to read a rules.md file before every task, he is essentially programming the AI's behavior using English prose rather than Python or JavaScript. He has replaced the integrated development environment with a folder of text documents. Finally, examining his view on the ultimate limitations of this technology reveals a clear distinction between human and machine capabilities. Lazar expresses strong confidence that AI will replace translators, junior developers, and data analysts. However, he identifies a hard boundary at comedy. He states directly, AI is never going to write a good joke. This appears to be a minor observation, but it anchors his entire worldview. He believes that anything deterministic, mathematics, logic, translation will be automated. The machine will handle it. However, anything requiring deep understanding of human emotional resonance, such as humor or beautiful UI design, remains protected. He proposes that the future economy will value taste over skills. You will not be hired because you possess specific technical abilities. You will be hired because you can recognize what good looks like. Lazar's perspective reveals a consistent pattern. He treats technical barriers as temporary obstacles and human judgment as the only durable asset. He dismisses the how of building things, assuming the machine will always resolve it, and concentrates exclusively on the why. The open question remains, if the barrier to creation drops to zero and anyone can build anything simply by articulating intent, are we prepared for a world where our only competitive advantage is our taste? If you're interested in the video featured in this episode, click the link below to watch the original.